everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape. Today we are checking out the Serial 1 electric bikes from Harley Davidson. They are doing test rides in various areas across Florida, and we were lucky enough to sign up and get a slot. And so I'm just going to share with you some of my initial thoughts of the Serial 1 electric bikes. Really excited to ride this some more.
Give you guys a little overview of the bikes we've got here, and then when MOSH comes back, we can go over that. So, like I just mentioned, we've got this is our first lineup of city bikes. It's the Splash City lineup of bikes. We've got everything from a single speed MOSH, and that'll be coming back in a minute. And then these are our 3 RUSH bikes. So they're all variations of the same bike, and you'll see that pretty frequently. So this is our fully featured commuter bike. Some of the major features of this are, they've all got integrated batteries, and our batteries are modular across models. So we've got bigger batteries on those 2 models, a smaller battery on that. This one has a 529 watt-hour battery. That one's a 706 watt-hour battery. Our batteries give you a range of about 30 to 115 miles, depending on which size battery you have, the riding mode, the terrain, etc. One thing I think you'll notice too right away is our bikes are fully integrated, so you don't see any of those cables or wires that you typically see on some other bikes. We've fully integrated that into the design. We've got fully integrated lighting both in the front and rear, so that's really great. And then the place where we put our battery, we really engineered it to be kind of centrally located, and that kind of comes back from our Harley roots. So all of the mass is centrally located so that when you're riding, your weight is kind of in the front, but all the other weight is in the middle. So it gives you a really great ride handling stance. The other thing, if you want to come around to this side too, because of where we put the battery, which is kind of an industry first here, we were able to fit a glove box in the down tube. So cool. That one is locked with your same key that will lock your battery. And it was designed specifically with the Ebikes Bordeaux lock in mind, so that that lock will fit directly into that glove box, and you can open that up. Yeah, you want to do that right now? I can show you how we pop out everything. There's the glove box. It'll fit your wallet, it'll fit keys, and then it'll fit that lock too, if that's what you decide to carry around. And then the battery just pops out. Oh. And the battery can be charged both on and off the bike.
Okay. Yeah. And so it's the Speed bike that has the bigger battery. That's the one you were pointing out.
So both the RUSH City and then the RUSH City Speed have the bigger battery.
Okay, got it. Okay.
The MOSH City and then this Step-Thru.
Okay, gotcha.
And then we will have additional batteries available for sale if you want the bigger battery in your bike. We don't yet, but that will be coming.
Yep.
The other great thing about this bike and all of our RUSH models is they come standard with this MVLO auto shifting hub. So it's a CVT hub. It basically gets you always in the right gear. So as hard as you're pedaling, it'll shift you into the right gear for you. You don't have to do any shifting or thinking. You can just focus on the ride. So that's a big feature on these bikes as well. Yep. And then these ones come standard, fully featured with fenders and racks, and then the full display that'll display, odometer, speed, all of that stuff. So that's kind of the gist of the RUSH City bikes. All of our bikes come standard with the belt drive, so very carbon fiber belt drive, mess-free, maintenance-free. Those are also really useful. So, yeah, any questions so far?
And obviously hydraulic disc brakes, 203 millimeter rotors, like the giant rotors on there.
They look big.
Yeah.
Big 12 tires.
Yep.
Kind of to make up for the lack of suspension. So, yeah. And then it's a 750 watt Rogue motor.
Yep.
And then it was TF Mag. 750 watt motor in the U.S. It's 250 watt regulations in Europe, but it's a peak power 750 watts, continuous rated power of 200.
Gotcha. Okay. Very cool. Awesome.
And then these ones are pedal assisted to 20 miles an hour, and then this one is pedal assisted to 28 miles an hour. And the only difference with that one is more premium paint. You've got the TF Mag motor up to 28 miles an hour, and that's really where the price difference comes from there. Yeah. These are the bikes we have right now. All of our bikes come in 4 sizes, small through extra large, except the Step-Thru comes in small, medium, and large. Just based on making sure we have a very stable Step-Thru. It's a little bit harder to do that in extra large. So, pretty bright.
Yep.
And you can turn it on and off. On the Speed, it will go on automatically in our Europe version, but on this one, it won't. And then, like I said, you can see the speed, you can see your battery life, you can kind of toggle through this to see, you know, your range,
nice.
your trip, how long you've been riding, all of that. You know, anything you kind of want to see.
Yeah.
To toggle between the ride modes, you're going to hit this plus and minus sign on here.
Okay, got it.
So we've got all modes, starting at, you know, off, no assist, eco, tour, sport, and boost.
Okay, good deal.
Yep.
Is that, and like this display is on like all, it's the
This
same
one's
display?
on all of them except the MOSH here.
Oh, okay.
That's our
That's your
basic
entry
model.
level, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And we
Okay.
can go over that one too if you guys want to ride these ones first.
It looks like this lights up with the
It does.
headlight on too.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
that's-
This one
that's
lights
sweet.
up. It's always on all of our
Oh,
bikes.
that one is up. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Nice.
And then we've got the integrated taillights, and they do have a brake light. So as
yep.
you're going, they'll get brighter when you brake.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's what
There
that.
will be an app so you can change.
Okay.
So will the app be out at the same time
Yeah,
that the
it
bikes
already
are on?
exists, that
Okay.
yellow app, so-
And you can customize what, like the power, the assistance, the max speed? And
Yes, so that will be different. That will be like built into our own app, which we're working on right now. But MBL has its own app too that you'll be able to control the CTY has.
Okay.
Oh,
got
okay.
it.
All right. Gotcha. Very cool.
So Hannah's going to share with us kind of future plans for Serial 1 as far as test rides and those sort of things.
Yeah, definitely. So coming this spring, we're going to be having test rides offered at our participating dealers. We have about 100 dealers across the United States. You can find more information about those dealers on our website where their locations are, but they will have their own test ride demo fleets available for people to continue to do test rides at the dealership. So there should be one coming near you pretty soon this spring.
And as far as maintenance goes, if people are purchasing their bikes, what can they expect as far as service goes?
Absolutely. So we're going to have a customer service team built into Serial 1. We'll be able to help with most customer service needs, and then our participating dealers will also be able to help with some service as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Alright everyone, the Serial 1 electric bikes are unlike anything I've ridden before. Just looking at the cockpit, you'll feel like you're on something, well, different. Now before we get into these awesome electric bikes, I should mention the price. The MOSH City Single Speed starts at $33.99 and the price goes all the way up to $49.99 for the RUSH City Speed that I'm riding here. These are no doubt premium priced electric bikes, but they also feel and look like premium electric bikes. The only problem is once you hop on a Serial 1 electric bike, you might have e-bike envy like I do. Even if these bikes are out of your price range, it's a glimpse into some of the awesome components that can be put on electric bikes today. Plus, it's Harley Davidson's e-bike brand, and they have no doubt made a big splash into the e-bike market. 2 brake levers and an LCD screen makes for a minimalistic cockpit. All other cables seem to disappear into the frame, unlike anything I've personally seen on an electric bike. To say that the bike is well thought out is an understatement, and clearly no corners were cut when outfitting the bike. The Gates belt drive paired with the Broza motor and Enviolo CVT shifter makes for a ridiculously quiet and smooth electric bike. It's a bit hard to explain the CVT automatic shifter. The best way I've found to describe it is that pedaling is never too easy or too hard once you get going, at least the way these test models were configured. You'll likely notice that my pedals are spinning a little bit to get started, but this can be changed using the mobile apps as discussed earlier. As soon as I started pedaling harder, the shifting quickly changed and I was able to hit 28 miles per hour. I'd probably adjust the settings slightly if I owned one of these e-bikes. I imagine there will be a small number of people who don't prefer the automatic shifting, just like those who prefer to drive stick-shift cars. But as my brother said, it's the ultimate no-thinking e-bike, and I think there are a lot of people who will find this as a compelling selling point of the Serial 1 electric bikes. The only things likely to need maintenance will be the brakes and tires, and only because these parts do wear out eventually. As mentioned earlier, the German-engineered Broza motors are rated for 250 watts continuous and 750 watt peak power. These motors provide 90 newton meters of torque, and I personally could not tell a difference between the Broza S Mag found on the Step-Thru and Single Speed bike compared to the TF Mag motor on the RUSH City and RUSH City Speed models. Moving on to looks, I think Serial 1 nailed it. The illuminated badge on the front is a nice touch, but they also include the integrated front light. Plus you have the rear lights with accelerometer built right into the frame. The front and rear fenders, along with the front and rear rack, felt solid. The company hopes to have accessories for sale at some point. It would be cool if Serial 1 releases their own branded bags that match the aesthetics of the bikes. I also like some of the details they included, like the Harley logo outlined near the stem, and something I missed completely was that the city of Milwaukee is written on the C-tube. This, of course, is where Harley Davidson was founded. Perhaps the only thing that didn't quite fit in were the Walgo pedals, which are included on a significant number of electric bikes, even some of the most affordable e-bikes out there. It would have been a good opportunity to include some branded Serial 1 pedals, plus I do personally prefer more grip than the Walgos offer. The weights on the Rush bikes come in at around 59 pounds, while the MOSH weighs 48 pounds. These weights are in line with many e-bikes on the market today, but the lower center of gravity due to the motor and battery placement works in their favor. Okay, so I know a lot of people always wonder how a certain electric bike handles the hills, so this is the biggest hill I could find. I got it on speed and we're just going to see how easy it is. I am barely pedaling, going about 13, 14 miles an hour. 15, 16. So yeah, I would say that it handles hills, at least of that size, quite easily, especially in the higher power mode. Again, if you've never tried this kind of transmission, it is just very different, I would say, in a good way. Kind of having an electric bike that you don't have to think about anything at all. Before we get into the single speed MOSH, there was a few more things that I wanted to share. The first is more of a close-up of these bikes. So this first one is the RUSH City Speed that has a top speed of 28 miles per hour, and this other bike is the RUSH City, which comes in at $500 cheaper. And one of the nice things about both of these models is you do get that larger battery. And one of the first things I noticed about the bike is just how simple it looks near the cockpit. Because of the lack of manual shifters, there just isn't anything up here except for the brakes and the display. Note that you see virtually no cables on the frame of this bike as they are hidden extremely well. The color display has 4 modes of assist: Eco, Tour, Sport, and Boost. Here's a closer look at the front of the bike. You'll see that the brake cables actually go right into the handlebars. And then of course we have the front lights as well as the front fender and rack. They've all felt very solid. And then of course those very large brake rotors as well as TRP hydraulic brakes. Here's the keyed glove box, which I do think is a nice touch since many electric bikes don't have any form of integrated storage, and the batteries do have indicator lights if you want to check your charge level that way. This is a look at those Walgo pedals that I talked about earlier, nothing special, and then the kickstand is mounted towards the rear of the bike, so you won't have any issues with pedal lock. The RUSH City Speed, as Hannah mentioned, has a more premium paint job, and this particular color has more of a sparkle finish. On the website it is called Gloss Iris Silver, Lead Gray, and Matte Black. And then the RUSH City is Matte Vapor Silver, Gloss Burst Orange, and Matte Black. Now the orange refers to the color on the inside of the fork, which I think is a nice accent. And you can also see where the cable comes down for the brakes there. Again, all of these wires are almost completely hidden on these bikes. And all the bikes come in 2 different colorways.
Our MOSH City, it's our, what we like to call our urban play bike. It's like our very base model, and it's kind of a stripped down e-bike. So it's single speed, there's no hub, it's all 1 gear. And then you've got that built-in battery, the 529 watt-hour battery. It's kind of more of a different design, more like a nod to old BMX styling. You still have the integrated lighting both in the front and rear. But that's kind of the gist, and then you've got that more basic display here.
Yep.
So you still toggle between the different ride modes, still have all of that, but it's a little bit more of a stripped down. Yeah, these are actually a little bit bigger.
Oh, they are wider.
A
Okay.
little bit bigger of tires, but,
Okay.
and then you don't get the fenders and the wrecks on
Sure.
this one. Yep.
I wanted to give a close-up of the more simplified display. I couldn't see it as well earlier in the sun. So the top button here, you have your headlight. That turns it on and you can hold it to turn it off. And then you have your pedal assist settings here as indicated by the white light. Now moving on to the MOSH City Bike. Coming in at about $1,000 cheaper than the RUSH City bikes, it also looks a bit different than all of the other models. I immediately noticed the 2.8-inch wide tires, and I personally like the gloss rowdy blue accent coming from the top tube to the down tube as well as on the inside of the fork. The lack of fenders and a rear rack gives it a different look as well. The MOSH is marketed towards urban environments, and as such, unless you're confident in your ability to tackle hills, you'll probably want to consider one of the geared Serial 1 e-bikes. I admittedly should have spent a bit more time testing hills, but the 750 watts of power felt plenty powerful, and I personally think I'd be able to get away where we live with the single-speed MOSH. To sum it up, Serial 1 is a strong contender if you're looking at a premium electric bike. The price for each model seems in line given how nice of a package Serial 1 has put together. I'd personally lean towards the RUSH City or RUSH City Speed simply for the larger battery. And of course, if you ride in mostly flat terrain or are looking for something a little bit more budget friendly, then the MOSH is still an awesome e-bike. I hope you enjoyed checking out the Serial 1 electric bikes from Harley Davidson. I had a blast riding these. I was really excited to share it with all of you. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I'll have a link in the description to some of my resources on electric bikes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.